Hey everyone, this is Tracy with Color Me This, and I'm going to say this at the beginning and not the end. Thank you for joining me today, and welcome back if you are returning. I'm staring at a beautiful blue jay on our feeder, and he has actually bullied everyone else away. So I am coloring in the AM. We'll see how well it goes. The outside right in front of my window is very active this morning, and Lucky is in the area, and he does not take a nap until afternoon, kind of when Hub takes a nap. Both the boys take a nap, and I get to color. But I would like to get some coloring in because I have some activities planned for Friday and Sunday. Oh, and here's Lucky. Lucky says hi. No, an extra hi. We'll see if he's just going to go off and do his kitten thing or if he needs attention. So, as I said, I am not sure how well this will go. So yesterday we colored, I would call this a base. I do want to go back and do some shadow work, but I don't want to do the shadows until I have the bottom finished. So that's what we're going to work on today. And then we will see how much time we have left at the end to work on the finer details, deepening the colors and doing some shadow work. So I have some colors picked. I'm going to start with the most boring element. I have decided these round things that are all along the bottom here and up here, that this is some sort of an embankment, for lack of a better term. So I am going to make all of these scalloped and round areas gray, sort of neutral, because I have other areas that I have brighter colors that I want to focus on and have your eye drawn to. And these elements, though cute and unique, are not the bits that I want to focus on. I see a little line right there, so I'm not sure what these are supposed to be. For me, they are rocks. Different than the small bubbles coming up from the fish. And I don't have to be very precise because I will add water to activate the color, and then I'll move the color around where I want it. I was going to wait till my normal time to color, but I was very excited. I'd kind of delayed a couple of days getting this started and really wanted to do the second half yesterday after I finished the first half. I made myself put it away. I love that little key. The little shell. All right, I'm going to go ahead. My brush I used yesterday, I used 2. This is number 2. The other one was a green one from this value pack, and it was like a 4-4/0. Today I have a 5-0 that is very delicate. And I also pulled a 0, and it is not quite as delicate. I have my water here. I actually feel like I should move it because now that I say I want to move it, I'll spill it. I did not spill. Okay. It's in a safer, I don't have to cross the water, the paper with the water. All right, let's see if this is too small. So today, instead of patting like I was yesterday for most of the elements, I'm kind of doing, although that's patting, side by side, side to side. Yes, I think the smaller brush was a good idea. What I do want... Oh, and now Hub is home early. Okay, I'm going to pause. False alarm, that was just lucky. I see I missed a couple of stones. No, we have a little kitten calling. I am reminded why I color when everyone's napping. I do need to fill in more gray up at the top. All right, so that's a good start. Doesn't look like much quite yet. I forgot this area. Lucky is up here with me. He is drinking the water, which actually is clean water. I just filled it. He is the quintessential kitten that wants to like drink from my glass. He has his own fresh water, so I don't know why my glass and now this fresh water here is intriguing to him. It's always better than his own, I guess. Okay. Lucky has left the area. So I am adding some more dark, and I might even come back with a darker gray. I do have the dark gray and black, which I don't use black very often. Okay, so I don't want to fuss too much with this since I have, oh, and I had to move the water away. Oh, and I am moving it back. I will be sure to put this in place. Sorry about this. Clearly the morning is not the best time to try to color. with all of the action going on. Okay. All right, moving down to the lower rocks. All right, next color. Let's do the greens. So we have kelp. And I have two colors for the kelp, though I'm going to focus on the darker color. The chromium green opaque is the darker color, and then I'll do a little bit of one, the earth green yellowish. And I realized just now, with all the interruptions, I didn't show you that it's warm gray 5274 that I was using on the rocks. So I am going to go heavy with the dark along the bottom and on all of the behind pieces of kelp, if this is kelp. Seagrass, maybe it's just seagrass. So I do have a funny story to say, or to tell you. We have a long sandy trail that my husband is one of the volunteers to maintain it, keep it clean, get rid of potholes and all that good stuff. Work on water mitigation. In fact, he's working right now on water mitigation for the rainy season, which will begin this summer. So I think that Nature Trail chairperson for the trail committee came up with the idea, since it's 2.2 miles long, to have letters A through Z intermittently. We have a fence line with posts along most of it, separating our side from the watershed side. And so she ordered letters A through Z, fairly large. I think they were 3 inches tall, perhaps. And then Hub, with the help of another volunteer, came up with a game plan. They walked the length. They figured out where to place the letters, what the intervals should be. A couple of the parts of the trail, you had to put a post for them because there wasn't a fence line there. And my stepfather cut the wood pieces. Hub painted them, screwed on all the letters, and then out they went to place these letters. So later in the day, after it was all done, we went for a drive to go look. And I saw so we went through from starting at letter A. I will tell you that my husband, though he's not called by his first name does start with the letter J. And we hit letter J. And I'm like, so why is that letter J backwards? He goes, I thought that looked funny and nobody could tell that anything was wrong with it. So I just left it. And I'm like, well, it's backwards. And so my mom, her name starts with J. So, I mean, my husband uses the letter J all the time on formal documents, not everyday stuff, but formal documentation and texting and emailing my mom. And so I thought it was really funny. And the only other problems we saw with the letters was one of the letters was not centered. Oh, and it was the J. In fact, that's what made me look at it, was he did not center the J. He centered the middle of the J. And so we got that fixed, centered, and flipped correct. And then it's a font that has thick and thin stroke, like the W has two fat sides and then a skinny side. And the U and the V, one of them looked wrong and one of them looked right. So I had to look up the correct way for this particular font. So I'm adding the wet now. And because I know there'll be glinting of the grass as it's moving in the water, I'm trying to keep some varied colors. So we had to fix, I thought that the U with the thick and the thin was correct, but the V was correct, and we had to flip the U. And what else? Oh, the Z was decidedly upside down. Ironically, whoever created these letters, the font they chose, the letter S sometimes has a upper, the first top swirl is smaller, but this S was the same top and bottom, but not the Z. The Z was thicker on the bottom than the top, but Hub had flipped it the other way. So we got all of the letters of the alphabet along the trail, fixed, centered, flipped left to right, and upside down, right side up. So, things that you don't really think about. And this is a person he's a writer. He dabbles in writing, so he is, in his Word, it's not Word, it's an authoring tool, like all the time. So I had to giggle. And he's one of the people that is very particular and exacting, and, when he measures things and does numbers, and so I just am so surprised. And he says, I knew that J looked funny, but I couldn't figure out what it was, and neither could anybody else. So those are done. That one could use a little bit more. Let's see if I can steal some green from elsewhere. Glad I pulled this small brush. Okay, so that looks cute. Let's do something a little different. I need my sharpener. I've got this color, burnt ochre, and I'm going to do two colors. Now, gold usually is multiple colors, but we are underwater, so I don't think I have to go really fancy. And I'll make this shell be the same color tones. Then I'm going to grab yellow. And we will see how those get wet. Now, this is one of the reasons why I got these very small brushes. I'm going to grab the even smaller one, the smallest that I pulled, 50, even smaller than yesterday. I think that this particular object would be just fine not wet activated. But then what would the fun be in that? All right, there's our shell. Two very soft, simple colors. The narwhal. I am going to play with two colors. these two colors. I want him to be bright. I want the fish to be bright. Can't get much brighter than that. Cobalt green 156, purple violet 136. Cobalt green is also one of the watercolors. I'm just first darkening where we have dots. And then I plan to, I'm kind of sketchy because I'm hoping when I activate that some of those lines will stay. And then we've got a little bit of the blue because of the reflection of the watercolor. And then he is also going to have a purple tummy. So let's just see how that goes. I'm going to grab my bigger brush, which is still pretty small, number 2. All right, so now we are, so I see I'm dabbing. I just kind of, whatever I feel needs to happen to achieve the look I'm after. So when I'm telling you, I'm kind of observing what I'm doing and reporting to you. I don't really even have a definitive plan. So I'm getting the more liney look. That was what I was after. Have to be careful of the wet on this paper. Activating the tail. And then down here. Under the belly. Okay, and I just don't want to get too crazy with him yet, but I don't like this line back here. So I'm going to dab that some more. All right, we'll leave him that fairly light for right now. I have this lighter green for the other seaweed, and this little seaweed. That's going to need the small brush. All right, small brush. Which one did I grab? This is the 0, so it's a little bit bigger. It's the same one I used on the grasses. Okay, cute. a very simple dark cadmium orange 115 for the fish. I do also have yellow that I could use. Another tiny brush. This is the, I just picked up the smallest one, 50. You might have heard that. That's Lucky playing with his, he has a dog toy. He's getting big enough that my mom donated a dog toy of a gator that has the little squeaky in it. And he is finally big enough to actually activate the squeak. It took him a very long time before he was strong enough to do that. It's not an easy squeaker inside the gator body. So it's really cute when I hear it. I know he's working really hard if he makes it squeak. Oh, I forgot a little yellow on his face. I would like a little orange, like shadow lines along the bottom of each fish, and I might not even activate that. Okay, and now the fun part. We have the water. I have two colors for the water. I already showed you the cobalt green 156, and the cobalt turquoise 153 is the darker color. I find this silver font is easier to read than the gold on the polychromos. Now, given that this is watercolor, I'm not quite sure how much I need the light color, but I brought it out just in case this doesn't lighten up exactly how I want it to. I knew this would be the most time-consuming part of the page. All right, now I'm going to get the wet going, activate the color, and then we will bring it up and see how it goes. I'm trying to get in between all of the spaces. I'm going to use a small brush. Uh-oh. All right, I am not sure of the best size brush, so I'm starting. I had to go get the water. 5-0. We're going with the tiny one because I need to activate within the seagrass. I do like this very delicate brush. I have a purpose for that little pebble. I hope I don't forget that I have a plan for it. So one of the things I do like about watercolor over Inktense is that I know I can come back later and move the pigment more if I need to. So it's a little more forgiving. Okay. Where if I was using Inktense, I would have to pull my, oops, and that was a wrong move there, but it's okay if he has a little blue on him. I have a little blue on him on the top. So we're just going to embrace that. Oh, the sun's finally coming out for the day. So I would not be able to stop all of these points. I would have to flow them all the way up with Inktense if I didn't want any lines. I can go back with watercolor and soften those lines, which I do really like. I still see some lines here. Now when I have a harsh line left that I want to soften, I can do the dabbing. All right, let's get over to this side. All right, so far so good. I'm going to try the lighter blue, starting from the top down, and then we'll meet in the middle. Now, I still think that I want some of the aquatic color where I left the stones white. And I do like how I can be sketchy, because I'm gonna move it all around. All right, so let's see if that is enough. Adding a little more blue to the narwhal body. Okay. I don't know that I need that small of a brush, so I'm going to use the number 2. I'm intentionally leaving where I lined across the dots with the pencil. I am intending to leave those areas darker. I think you might have seen right in this area some of the gray moved and mixed in, and I'm okay with that. Now I need a little bit more. This is the light color, the cobalt green. All right, let's blend that out a little bit. So right now, where I'm trying to soften any harsh pencil lines that I want to be more blended, I do risk pilling this paper, but I have found, I've only done a few of these. I think this is my third, maybe the fourth one. And this paper is not bad. Nowhere near as tough as watercolor paper, but it does have a nice coating on it. So I can do a little work and not pill the paper. That's the biggest thing with cardstock used for card making. It is not as good as this paper. Alrighty, now I do need to have a little color on the water drops. And then looking at my time, I have a couple minutes. So I do have, I'm going to let that dry and hopefully not touch it. And I want to do a little darkening up here, like I said. This is pine green, number 267. And I'm actually going to be using it all over in the green area. I do have the desire to see that softened a little bit. And this is all dabbing. Gonna grab the blue. I never wetted that little bit of red on the little shed. So let me get a teeny tiny brush. Actually, I don't think I wet that yet. Dabbing. I have some dry pine on these grasses, the little hills, and I am touching them to just get them to pop a little bit more. Okay. The only other thing in the last moment or two, I think that these green plants look a little flat, especially on the shadow side. So what I've done down below that you cannot see, well, you can see it. The narwhal horn is white and the bubbles are white, and I believe I'm going to add stickles. Going a little bit long, but I'm okay with that. Back to this pine green. I kind of want to see if I can add some shadows to this. This area right here where I'd already dabbed is a little bit wet. And then I have a color in mind. Nope, not that one. Raw umber. I am not sure if that is the right color. That's now down, so that's what it's going to be. Tiny brush. And aside from the stickles, I will probably come back when I do the last page. I will probably come back and maybe spend like just a minute or two. We'll do the horn and the bubbles with some stickle, and I may check my colors and do some darkening. But so far I really like it. It's very cute. There is the whole thing. My largest water application yet. Thank you so much for joining me today. I think I said it at the beginning. See, I always say that at the end. That is why I say that at the end. Do all the YouTube things. Like, share, comment. Consider subscribing. Hit the bell to be notified for my next video, which will probably be my update on a few different projects I have been working on. And then we will probably finish up the week with starting the end. Everybody take care. I hope to see you all there.